Welcome to April's Garage. Motortrend lost one of its biggest shows. It was pretty shocking.
Well, it might be its biggest show now.
Really?
Because we've lost Roadkill.
Yep.
We've lost the Finnegan stuff. We've lost the Hot Rod Garage. And now we've lost Mecum Auctions,
which is huge.
A big deal,
Yeah.
a big deal. And it seemed like a very last minute thing where they were announcing the day of when they were starting in Arizona for their Mecum auction
Right.
there.
Glendale, right?
Yes, that they're switching to ESPN Plus.
Which is just online
Streaming only.
And I say just because I'm like just online, but that's kind of a good thing. It can be. Everything's sort of transitioning, but I feel like the people that watch Mecum like to watch the television broadcast.
The older crowd that still watches television, still has the clicker remote in their hands, and they go to Motortrend. Now they have to pay $12, $15 a month to be on ESPN Plus, which if you're not a sports guy and you're only a car guy, that's a tough pill to swallow to move over to that. So when they did announce it, the comment section was absolutely brutal, similar to when Roadkill went off YouTube all those years ago and was put behind a paywall on Motortrend. And it's interesting to see history repeating itself, but it's all because Warner Brothers Discovery has just ran the Motortrend channel into the ground completely.
But do you think, these online auctions are getting watered down? Because, I mean, not the online auctions, these in-person auctions are getting watered down because of all the onlines with Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids.
You can argue that. I don't think so. But this is all about dying TV as a medium, I think, just in general. And these expensive live shows to do, I imagine there was a negotiation that went up until the 11th hour.
Right.
And, they were hoping to take April Rose to prom again, like they have, with Motortrend, Mecum with Motortrend.
Yes.
And ESPN was the girl that they knew that was going to say yes no matter what. So when they got denied at the last second by April Rose, they went to ESPN, the homely looking, platform and said, hey, you want to go with me? So they're not alone.
Yeah, sure. But I think it's still worth it. The $12.
I'm being a little harsh.
There's so many Mecum auctions. There's like, 10 or 12 of them a year.
Correct.
So $12 a year for that it doesn't seem like a lot. Oh, $12 a month? Okay. So then with all your other subscriptions, that can add up really quick.
Well, the thing is, people would flip through the channels, see that there's an auction going on, and watch it.
Right.
And now they won't be able to do that. They'll have to know on social media, they'll have to know, okay, it's going to be live on these times and I have to tune in. And not only that, but they can't record it to watch later.
Right, which a lot of people do. I see those comments a ton. When we're working at Barrett-Jackson, people love to record it and watch it later if you're working or something like that. It's more fun to watch live, but of course, anytime.
Right.
And it does rerun constantly.
Now, to ESPN's credit, they are going to post it afterwards, the auction, to where they can watch all the coverage and go through.
Well, it's like watching football. You want to watch it as it's happening, right?
Right. But as far as having it on the background for people, those days are over. It's very odd.
I remember when I don't know if they were on NBC, Mecum was, but I remember walking into bar after bar and it was just on playing in the background constantly, and you're saying that's not going to happen anymore.
Yes. So Mecum has jumped ship, and arguably it's their biggest show. And the only other new show that I think is still putting out new episodes is Courtney's show, Ride of Your Life.
Ride of Your Life.
So her show's great. I mean, it's a continuation of Overhauling with her, and it's a great show, but it's now the only show. It's like the flagship. It's like saying you're my favorite kid when you have one kid.
Right.
They're not doing anything else. So Hearst acquired Motortrend, and a lot of people thought that meant everything, but Hearst is a company that owns Bring a Trailer and a bunch of publishing companies. They bought like the magazine, the Roadkill Nights, the live events, the digital, and the print, but not the channel.
There's still print.
The magazine stuff, yes.
Happening?
Not the channel.
Right.
The channel still belongs to Warner Brothers Discovery, and they seem determined to just tube it. But it's one of those Irish goodbye things. This is what happened to my Motortrend show. So I filmed 3 seasons of my show Car Issues.
Right.
So with my first season, it aired on FYI and History, and that's how I got on their radar. But they didn't renew it for a second season. They were sort of dragging their feet, trying to figure out the money, and it got a second life on Motortrend's streaming app. After a year, they sold it to be on there, and it did really well streaming on Motortrend On Demand. That paywall thing that they put Roadkill and everybody else behind for $5 a month. Right. So they said, hey, you want to do another season except on Motortrend? Well, sure. So I did it. It did really well. I got a lot of new subscribers to their platform, so they renewed it again for a third season.
Well, because didn't they ask you to promote it for the app,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I had a promotion in a couple of my YouTube videos saying, hey, for 99 cents a month, you can go on Motortrend and see my show, which is like more Hoovie's Garage, except a more professional, polished version of it. And it did really well. But for the third season, they renewed it. But then Warner Brothers came in. They had bought Discovery, they had bought Motortrend, they bought all this. And they only cared about linear TV ratings. They were folding up the platform. We didn't know it, but they were folding up the Motortrend On Demand or the Motortrend Plus platform and folding it into, I guess HBO Max is what it is now. They were folding it all into one umbrella after spending a bajillion dollars to have US Top Gear with Dax Shepard and all that stuff to get this loyal subscriber base that I imagine wasn't very much. They completely just folded it.
Sure.
So all they cared about with me was TV ratings. And I rated, I was doing better than some like CNN shows and some other things, you know, top like 70, 80 out of 150. So I was in the hunt.
Right.
But there was nobody at Discovery to make any decisions. It was like total decision paralysis because I don't think anybody had like the decision power with budgets to say yes. And nobody wanted to say no either because they didn't want to give up these shows. So I never heard a thing. My producers never heard a thing. It was total like, we'll see, we'll see. We would call every month, every couple of weeks. I don't know, we'll see, check back later.
There's also the thing, people don't want to make bad decisions, so then they just don't make a decision at all, which is kind of what it sounded like.
They don't want to be
show.
responsible for a mistake on a renewal. Like, why did you renew the show for $1 million and it didn't do well? And so everybody's just keeping their heads down.
How much it took to shoot your season?
So the first season was a lot more because it was funded by actually Verizon.
Right.
And Verizon had spent $100 million to have their own streaming platform and then decided to change their mind at the last minute. So I didn't get $100 million, but I got, I think, a couple $1 million for that first season.
Well,
not payment, but the whole show, the whole budget was a couple $1 million. I got paid like $100,000, $150,000.
Right.
So
I feel like
it's still
I hear
pretty
that
good.
A lot where networks and people are trying to start their streaming, and all of a sudden they realize how expensive it actually is, and they pull back, especially with car shows and restoration shows, because everything takes so much time. Time is money, and all the parts cost a lot.
Yes. So that's how it went from Verizon paying for it, but then it being sort of sold to whoever wanted it for the highest bidder, basically, which first was History and then Motortrend. So that's how I was able to bounce around a little bit. But I guess Discovery is just on its way to bankruptcy. I don't know what their plan is. It just seems like they have absolutely no plan at all. And I feel like Motortrend is going to be gone here probably this year within the next 6 months because they have to have so many hours of new programming. And there's no new programming. They shut down their Motortrend studios for all of their shows, all of their in-house Motortrend shows, all outside production. Nobody's getting a renewal letter saying, hey, make more shows. There's no money being spent. They obviously let Mecum go, so obviously they didn't want Mecum auctions on their platform, which usually with the auctions, there's a combination because the auction wants to be on TV for the publicity, so they sort of share production costs. So it's not like they're paying the entire freight for the auction, I would imagine, I would guess. They were sharing or chipping in somewhat.
Well, you don't know that for sure, you know, what's happening, but I'm just curious about the future of where Mecum is going to land, how long they're going to be with ESPN Plus. It seemed like it made a lot of people mad, but Barrett-Jackson's transition to different networks over here still survived.
So Barrett-Jackson started in the 90s on Speed Vision.
Right.
And then when Speed became no more, it was Fox Sports, which is when you...
Speed Vision, then Speed, then Fox Sports, which is when I came in.
You came in Fox Sports.
We'd be on, because our broadcast was 10 hours on Saturday and Friday, and so we transitioned from Big Fox to Fox Business, which I feel like a lot of people didn't watch that, you know, and then back to Big Fox and all over the place, and then to Discovery later, it transitioned to that, and then now we're on History Channel.
Which Barrett-Jackson left Discovery and then went to A&E History, and then Discovery picked up Mecum. And not to gloat, but I feel like Barrett-Jackson got lucky because if they were still with Discovery, they'd be in this situation.
That's true.
And it was nice since they moved over to A&E History and I was known there because of my show. That's how I got hired in 2020 at Barrett-Jackson. It's now been, I guess, going on 5 years now with Barrett-Jackson.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, October 2020, so 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 years.
Right.
But I am sad about this because this was the last car channel, because back we had Speed, we had Velocity. Velocity sort of became Motortrend. We had like motor blocks like on Spike TV or TN or whatever it was called, where it was just car shows for a whole day. And I think Courtney Hanson hosted that for a while, sort of like the Power Block, where it was all the TV shows after she did Overhaulin', there's another big Discovery
Right.
show, Fast and Loud, all these big car shows that we used to
Huge.
have, gone.
What would you say is the big car show right now on TV? I don't know if
There isn't.
there's
It's
one
all YouTube
besides
now.
Courtney's.
It's all YouTube.
It is all YouTube.
It is
taken over.
as far as like a personality-driven show. There's still Barrett-Jackson TV, Courtney Hanson's show still going. But as far as where are all these personality-driven sort of build shows now?
Right.
It is all on YouTube.
Yeah, well, things are changing a lot. Obviously, talking about Hearst taking over the publishing rights for Motortrend, and people don't really publish paper anymore. There's no more magazines, so that's changed. TV's changing, and everything's moving to digital, so everything's going to be different in the next 5 or 10 years. I don't even know if there will be linear television anymore.
Well, this happened with YouTube.
What?
That's the thing. Will YouTube suddenly become the dinosaur medium, and there's some sort of different platform or different way to make content
Right.
that in 5 or 10 years, I'm going to be the dinosaur like the TV stations and not know what to do and just like fold over because
Right.
I don't understand TikTok, which is, it's very possible.
It's possible. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Thanks so much for watching.